Welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. Well, the COP29 Summit, it ended in Baku over the weekend, and there was a big update that came by. It was on climate finance goal because they have finalized it now. They will be tripling climate finance to $300 billion, which compares with the earlier target that they had of $100 billion. But that was achieved by the developed countries. So now they increased it to $300 billion to be given to developing countries every year by 2035. Now, remember, developing countries, they had asked for $1 trillion in terms of climate finance every year to meet their climate goals. So there has been a lot of dissatisfaction after this particular agreement was signed as well. Climate finance, according to the agreement, will be raised via a variety of sources, public or private, bilateral or multilateral, including alternate sources as well. But as I said, most of the countries, they were not happy with this outcome. Developing countries or be it smaller nations, India itself, India's stance was that this goal is too little and too distant. They also call this amount abysmally poor and paltry as well. But again, India signed the agreement, but with a lot of dissatisfaction. In fact, when the negotiations were undergoing as well, a lot of these small island state delegations and the other developed nations as well, or the least developed nations, they walked out of negotiations on the funding package. They called it the climate finance interest being ignored by the developed nations after this particular COP. And this COP generally has been a non-event because not majority of decisions were taken here. There was no word on the fossil fuel consumption ending as well. No further development on carbon credit regulations as well. Now on climate finance, since this was going and this was called as the climate COP, what are the estimates? In fact, IRENA estimates $5 trillion by 2030 is needed by all the countries to fight the issue of climate change. And just the developing countries, according to IEA, need $1 trillion by 2030 to fight the problem of climate change. So that's the amount of climate finance which is needed as per estimates, considering inflation, considering how climate events have been increasing. So this has come in as a disappointment as far as the COP29 is concerned. Well, that's about COP29, the big climate summit that took over the weekend, ended over the weekend after 2 weeks. But with that, we'll take your leave on this edition of Business Land. Stay tuned. Mid-Cap Radar comes up next.